Now, God forms things, and He works with people by His Holy Spirit. I will put my Spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and I shall keep my judgments and do them. And that's why we're here today. But God puts His Spirit in different people for different purposes. That's a fact. So as we're here today, as Les was saying, it's a holy day, a day of remembrance, a memorial. And when God gave to all mankind His Spirit, that's what happened. And He chose this time after Christ was crucified, and He, I'm talking about God, raised Him up from the grave, and all the sacrifices in the temple and all that ceased. All that kind of stuff. And because Christ was the perfect example, and He was taken and tortured and crucified and then was raised. And to me, it shows God has a master plan. A master plan. And He pretty much sticks to it. But one question I've always had, well, more so lately, why wait the thousands of years to, at the time of Christ, at all time before that, when God's Spirit was active with people He chose. But then it was like He opened the door for everyone that He wanted to call. And it's something to think about. Now, God forms things, and He works with people by His Holy Spirit at His choosing. But He gives us, within that right, within that blessing, He gives us the opportunity to what? Make choices. You can make choices. What matter, doesn't matter what it is, you can figure it out. As I'm looking at all of you, you have the ability to make choices. And it's a God gift, especially here in America. So let's go to Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. In Genesis 1:2, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit, God's Spirit, the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So what happened? Here's this thing floating around. And He came down and saw it, and He started working with it. By what? His Spirit. Talk about power. Now, the Grand Valley was once underwater. All this was water. And when you come out to my place, we'll sit out on the patio and under the trees, and you'll see the book cliffs. They were underwater. It's a fact. And I think it's Baxter Pass. When you go to Rangeley, is that right? Baxter Pass? When you go up there and you come to the pass, on the north side, there's a wall they carved out for the road. And if you stop there and walk and you go over with your pickaxe, you'll find fossils, sea fossils up there, all along that ridge. Isn't that amazing? And Gary's nodding his head. There's a rock hound, if there ever was one. It's Gary. And but God created it. He drained this area, brought up other spots, and that's what we have. And then after that, and then on the seventh day, he rested. But he rested in that way. He created a day of rest. That was yesterday, and we keep that. And God's Spirit is a helper. Go with me to Exodus 28 and 2. And God helps people. It's a day he gave it to all of us. Exodus 28 and 2. And you shall make a holy garment for Aaron. Now, God is speaking through Moses about his brother. It says, garments for Aaron, your brother, for the glory and for beauty. And you shall speak unto all that are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom. He was giving these people who were silversmiths, goldsmiths, and ability to sew so they could make these garments. And it says, and that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, set him apart, that he may minister unto me in the priest office. So he's giving Aaron this job right there. He's giving him the job. He's giving them the tools. Well, see my white shirt? I knew it was a special day. I went in the closet, and there was this white shirt, and my wife ironed it for me. It's, oh, well, I'll wear that. Pretty cool. But God puts this spirit in different people for different purposes. That's a fact. So let's go on. Psalms 143:1. Psalms 143:1. A psalm of David. He says, hear my prayer, O Lord, give ear to my supplications. In your faithfulness, answer me, and in thy righteousness. Teach me to do your will. David, who messed up seriously a few times, but he said, teach me. And I gave a whole sermon on teaching. That's why you come here on the Sabbath. One of the reasons is to be taught. For thou art my God. And he says, your spirit is what? Good. He says, God, your spirit is good. It feels good to have good direction, to good correction. good stimulus. And there's other spirits on this earth. And it's not pretty what they can do. Lead me into the land of uprightness. In 11, quicken me, O Lord, for thy name's sake, for thy righteous sake. Bring my soul out of trouble. And of thy mercy cut off mine enemies, and destroy all them that affect my soul. For I am your servant. What a neat prayer. If you ever read Psalm, I think it's 109. I wrote it in when I was back here. I think it's 109 where David really gets nasty with those that lie about him. And what he says, ask God to do. It's an eye-opener. Let's look at the future with God's Spirit. And it's here. Ezekiel 36:26. Ezekiel 36:26. A new heart also will I give you, God speaking, and a new spirit I will put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and I shall keep my judgments and do them. And that's why we're here today. 36:28. And you shall dwell in the land, and I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God. And I will also save you from uncleanliness, and I will call for corn, and it will increase, and lay no famine upon you. And we saw that video of those poor people in Africa yesterday, struggling. And then we had that school we supported, and they bulldozed it away. I don't know. And I will multiply the fruit of the tree and increase of the field, that you shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. Let's go to Acts 2:41. Then they will gladly receive the word, were baptized in the same day. And this is talking about where Peter talked and everything happened in the first time the Holy Spirit was given. Were added. In the same day they were added unto them about 3,000 souls. And I was listening to Ron Dart, and he said he wondered if women were in that room or that abode. And women maybe received the Spirit of God at that time. And he said also, it's probably women baptized women, because there's two reasons. One was the way they dress in those times. Women dressed accordingly, very carefully. And it's logical to think that way. Why do I I do agree with him. Because when we do Passover, what do? Men's on one side, women on the other, don't we? And that's how it should be. It's proper. Just a thought. And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, in the breaking of bread and in prayers. 43, and fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. And all that believed were together and had all things common. in any way. They sold their possessions. But let's go to Romans 8:38. Romans 8:38. And we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. For whom he did foreknow, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. And there's prophets that he talked about. He said, "You know me." David said, you knew me at conception, that he might be the firstborn among the brethren. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, he also justified, and whom he justified, he also glorified. And what shall we then say of these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? Who can be against you? And if there's troubles, so what? We can do what we have to do.